St Helens team for this afternoon is number 1 Steve Prescott, 2 Alan Hunt, 3 Mark Elia, 4 Andy Northey, 5 Andy Haig, 6 is Tommy Marty and 7 Bobby Golding. In the forwards we've got Jonathan O'Neill at number 8, 9 Kieran Cunningham, 10 Apollo Peraley, 11 Ian Pickavance, 12 Sonny Nittle and 13 Shane Cooper. And substitutes for St Helens this afternoon, number 14 Phil Vevers and 15 Chris Morley. Your referee for today is that man, experienced referee from Widnes, Mr D Campbell. So was winning the toss, deciding to play from right to left. If we look at the pitch, and it'll be Bobby Golding getting ready to get the game underway. So Bobby Golding there gets the game underway. Ground is very hard to say the least underneath on top. So and if history repeats itself in these matches, Featherstone Rovers will have all on this afternoon, because St Helens usually give one of their best displays on this ground at Post Office Road. Let's hope the Featherstone Rovers can get the history clocks turned back, and let's have a good win this afternoon. So it's Jason Sims there, but Apollo Padalini there making the tackle. So it's Steve Malloy. Good driving, but Jonathan Neal there making the tackle. So it's Graham Sutherwood to Danny Devey. Danny Devey! That's good penetrating running by the Rovers, second forward Danny Devey. And Kieran Cunningham there making the tackle on the Rovers second row for Mark Gasson there, just pushing that ball through. And number 5 there, Andy Haig, just letting that ball run dead. So first touch to the ball for St Helens. And that's good defence. Number 3 there, Mark Elia. And once again, that's good defence by Rovers. Brendan Toter there being penalised.
We saw it, wasn't it?
So it's big number 8, Jonathan Neal there, just inside that Rovers 20-metre area. So it's Cunningham there. Gives that ball out there to Ian Pickavance, ex-Swinton player of course, Ian Pickavance. Tackle, so it's Sonny Nittle. Sonny Nittle there looking for runners outside him, but Mark Gasson there, good defence that by Mark Gasson. Makes the tackle, quick play of the ball, so it's Tommy Martin to Shane Cooper. To Palela there, going for that try line, he's over his back. No try, he's on his back. That's good defence, that. And number 10 there, Apollo Peralini there, didn't like that decision, but where I'm in the gantry, definitely on his back, and the referee right again to play the ball, so it'll be St Helens head and feed. It'll be Bobby Golding to feed the scrum, the first scrum of the match on that Rovers 10-metre line. Oh, and that's a knock-on! Referee says no! But that was a knock-on where I was in the gantry. But I must say that the referee was definitely unsighted. So it's Tommy Martin getting that ball out wide. Number 11 there, Ian Pickavance. Taking runners out wide in that time, so it's Shane Cooper, ball back inside there to Jonathan O'Neill, back there to Shane Cooper now, that long ball out here to Peraley there to Sonny Nittle now there to Steve Prescott, there, skating at the corner. Brilliant try by St Helens, but going back to that scrum down, it looked a clear knock on. But I must say that the referees definitely was unsighted, but hey, 2 bites of the cherry had Bobby Golding getting that ball out of the scrum. The first wasn't a knock on, the referee shook his head, but he didn't see the second one where he fumbled the ball. And it was Shane Cooper who knocked the ball on round the base of the scrum. The referee set play on, and St Helens there throw the ball from right to left, then Ian Pickavance tackling the corner, and that quick play of the ball, Steve Prescott coming up in the line out at too much pace for the Rovers cover coming across. Scores the first points for St Helens. It's St Helens 4, Featherstone Rovers 0. Bobby Golding hoping to add the extras on. Got a bit of side on the ball, he's made no mistake. It's Rovers 0, St Helens 6. So Mark Aston restarts the game. Brilliant start that for St Helens. So it's Steve Prescott, the man of the moment. The St Helens try scorer, picking that ball up there, running it out. So Andy Haig it is, off his wing, trying to reach his own 20-metre area. so it's Jonathan Neal. But that's good defence by Rovers. St Helens on the third tackle, just about on their own 20-metre line. So Sonny Nicol it is. But Mark Aston and Neil Roebuck wrestling with the big fella. Ex-Sheffield player, of course, Sonny Nicol, so it's Bobby Golding. Bobby Golding, that long ball out wide there to Shane Cooper. Shane Cooper to Tommy Martin. Tommy Martin will look for these gaps. To Ian Pickervance. To Jonathan Neal, it wasn't, that's all on. That should be back to one. Referee wiping the tackles off. Basketball, I tell you. So St Helens really throwing this ball about. Shane Cooper. And finally Jason Sims brings the big fella down. So it's Kieran Cunningham now from acting half-back. And St Helens really throwing this ball about like an hot cake. Rovers will find it difficult to get possession of this ball. They've got to stop these moves. So it's Paleli there. But that's a good tackle that by Danny Deve and number 3 Mark Elia. Quick play of the ball. So it's Bobby Golding to Tommy Martin to Shane Cooper. Oh, and that looked like a forward pass. Referee says play on, and number 60, Tommy Martin, backing the man up with the ball. St Helens 10, Rovers 0. So there we go, the St Helens contingent, what's followed this team across the Pennines this afternoon. They're clapping the team, and rightly so, but Featherstone Rovers must stop this ball, they must move up in the tackle. St Helens at the moment are playing basketball, this rugby league football, and Featherstone Rovers have got to get among them. They've got to knock them down. So it's Bobby going with the conversion attempts. Shade wide, it's kicking against a strong wind down there, so it's Featherstone Rovers 0, St Helens 10. So Mark Allen once again restarts the game, and Rovers finding difficulty getting hold of this rugby league football. That it when the St Helens first started the match. They held it for 5. Mark Aston kicked the ball downfield, but since then Rovers haven't had the ball. In the meantime, St Helens are 2 tries to the good. So it's Jonathan Neal looking for that halfway line. A quick play of the ball, and it's Cunningham out here to Paleli, but that's good defence that by Brendan Toolter. On number 2, Apollo Pedalini. So it's Bobby Golding. That little run around back to, oh, that was a forward pass. Oh, that was a mile forward. And referee, this time Mr Campbell, awards the forward pass. So Mark Aston feeds the scrum, it's out to Rovers, Brendan Toolter taking Shane Cooper, Steve Prescott on. Shane Cooper it was, Steve made the tackle, so it's Jason Sims over the halfway line, and Sonny Nicol makes the tackle on the Rovers number 10. So it's Steve Malloy. That big drive in by Steve Malloy, gets the ball to Graham Sutherwood, that's good play by Steve Malloy to Neil Roebuck. So it's Sutherwood to Brendan Toolter, to Mark Aston there to Joan Adioli. Good running that by Joan Adioli, but also a good tackle that. Andy Northey making the tackle, so it's Jason Sims. But Sonny Nicol there, wrapping Jason Sims up. So it's Sutherwood now from acting halfback to Mark Aston there, that little grubber kick, it's all on. Oh, it's a try! Carl Gibson there. Steve Prescott there, and number 5 Andy H just looking at one another. Are you going to pick it up? No, I'll pick it up, Andy. I'll pick it up, Steve. And Carl Gibson says you're too late because I've scored, and Carl Gibson did just that, and he scored in the corner. Brilliant little kick that by Mark Aston there, and Carl Gibson there goes in for his 10th try of the season. It's Rovers 4, St Helens 10. So Mark Aston it is to convert this try. Just about on the St Helens 20-metre line. The ball stood up, strikes the ball, wide of the post. Rovers 4, St Helens 10. Well, I thought that Steve Prescott there and and number 5 Andy Haig were having a tea party there. They're both waiting for each other to pick the ball up, but Carl Gibson, they went in between them, touched down, and referee right on the spot, Mr. Campbell, rightly so, awarding the try. So the bouncing ball there, Mark scopes it up, gives it to Big Joe Nadioli there. So it's Ikram Butts, first up to the ball for Ikram Butts. Trying to shrug Shane Cooper off there, but Shane Cooper there stuck to his guns, made the tackle. So it's Danny Devey there, but Sonny Nickel and Jonathan Neal there making the tackle on the Bix Rovers second row forward. So it's Steve Malloy there up to the halfway line. So it's Graham Sutherland there from acting half-back. Oh, and that's it, Brendan Toulter on the head. Now then. Referee there awarding knock-on, but to me it seemed to hit Brendan Toulter off on his head, but referee awarding the knock-on, so it'll be Bobby Golding. To feed the scrum. It's out to St Helens, Tommy Martin. Ball back inside here. Number 3, Mark Elia. Big strong run. Looks like he's got an injury. Referee says play on. So it's Cunningham to Shane Cooper to Sonny Nittle. That's good defence, that. Brilliant defence that by Steve Malloy on Sonny Nittle. Watch that ball all across the line. So number 10 Apollo Pedalini there getting through some tremendous amount of work in this first quarter of the game. Now it's Bobby Golding. Bobby Golding now there to Alan Hunt. But Alan Hunt there succumbs to a tackle. That's good defending by Rovers. Mark Nixon there making the tackle. The referee deciding last tackle. So it's Ikram Butts looking for his own 20-metre line. Shane Cooper making the tackle that time. So it's Carl Gibson for Rovers. Carl Gibson loses the ball. That's got to be offside. That's got to be offside. Referee says accidental offside. Rightly so, towards the scrum. But bad mistake that by Carl Gibson. Scrum down. Bobby Golding to feed the scrum for St Helens.
Lock on!
So it's Tommy Martin switching play. Gives it to Steve Prescott. On the open side. Rovers defence to the good that time. Number 12 there, Joe Nadioli getting across quickly, making the tackle. So it's Shane Cooper. Number 4, Andy Northey, being tackled just inside that Rovers 20-metre line, 10 metres from that Rovers try line. Bobby Golding with the ball. And that's a mistake by St Helens. Joe Nadioli picking the ball up for Rovers. First mistake by St Helens in this match. First handling mistake by them. The 10 points to the 4 to the good. And Tommy Martin there making the tackle there. So it's Darren Hughes. This is good running by Darren Hughes. That's good running by the Rovers, number 5. So it's Graham Sutherwood to Mark Aston. Mark Aston there to Joe Nadioli. Joe Nadioli looking for that halfway line, but good defence. Number 13, Shane Cooper making the tackle. So it's Ikram Butt from acting half-back. And Kieran and Cunningham there, rolling over in the tackle. So it's Graham Sutherwood there looking for this near side, and Alan up there picks the ball up in own play. He's got room to work. Oh, and that's good defence, that. Mark Nixon and Darren Hughes getting to the tackle. So it's Steve Prescott now for St Helens. Good art tackle that by Graham, so they'll quick play the ball, that. So it's Shane Cooper. Shane Cooper up for runners. Gives it to Mark Elia on the halfway line, but good defence that by Jason Sims. So it's Cunningham from acting half-back to Jonathan O'Neill, runs it in, gets that ball away to Shane Cooper. Shane Cooper there to Ian Pickavance. Ian Pickavance turns the ball back inside. Oh, and Carl Gibson there, desperate last-minute tackle that by Carl Gibson. So it's Cunningham to Bobby Golding, to Shane Cooper, to Andy Northey, but that's good defence that by Brendan Toulter on the last tackle. And they want the ball in the air. Bobby Golding there pushing on. That's good play that. Jason Sims gives the ball there to Joe Nadioli. Well, you take your eye off this gate for 1 second, never mind a minute. The ball's going all over the place. Now it's Hickenbutt there. But number 10 there, Apollo Pedalini there, making the tackle. So it's Jason Sims. Cuts back inside, gives the ball there to Graham Sutherwood. And Sonny Nittle. But what this game wants is just somebody just to steady things down. It's Steve Malloy. Oh, to Danny Devey. That was a dodgy pass. Danny Devey did well there to pick that ball, and that should have been a penalty. Just couldn't get to his feet to play that ball. Referee says play on, so it's Brendan Toolter. Gives the ball there to number 3, Brett Rogers. So it's Mark Aston, ball's up in the air. The ball's coming back, it's all on. Carl Gibson there after the ball, and Steve Prescott. And that's a good defensive tackle, that. Steve Malloy below, Mark Aston on top. So it's Alan Hunt. And Darren Hughes there gets to grips with the St Helens wingman. So it's Sonny Nittle. Sonny Nittle runs it in, but Steve Malloy and Jason Sims makes the tackle. So it's Cunningham with the ball. That's a bad mistake by Cunningham, losing the ball to Sonny Nittle off Mark Elia. Sonny Nittle there looking for the gaps. Well, this match is absolutely 100 mile an hour. It's 105 mile an hour. You don't take your eye off it for 1 second. So it's Shane Cooper to pick a man, and that's a forward pass. Well, it's unbelievable the pace at this game here at Post Office Road. First it's one way, then it's another way. So it'll be Mark Gasson to feed the scrum just about on the halfway line. So it's Brendan Toolter to Mark Nixon. Oh, and that's all on, that's back to 1. Brett Rogers it was who played that ball. St Helens got the ball, so it's Brendan Toolter taking this play on. Brendan Toolter taking the play to St Helens. That's good play by the Rovers standoff half. So it's Darren Hughes to Neil Roebuck to Mark Aston. Mark Aston gets that ball back. And Mark Aston there should have played the ball. Referee rightly so on the spot there, watching that. Should have played that ball, Mark Aston, deciding to run with the ball. And the initiative's gone from Featherstone Rovers over to St Helens. It's Featherstone Rovers 4, St Helens 10. And we're just about a quarter of the match gone. Well, it's unbelievable. I'll have no voice every time at the end of this match. So it's Paleli with the ball there, runs it in. It's Pedalay with me, so it's Bobby Golding there. Bobby Golding there, ball back inside there to Andy Northey. Good defence by Rovers. They've got to stop Bobby Golding. Shane Cooper running with this ball. Good defence, that's Brett Rogers there, copybook tackling. Brings a man down round his bootlaces, so it's Bobby Golding to Shane Cooper. Shane Cooper there, it's all on. Oh, and Darren Hughes. That's good play by Darren Hughes, the Rovers wingman. So it's Carl Gibbs. Oh, they've got to be offside. St Helens players won't standing square at the play the ball. And referee says play on. And again, Shane Cooper not standing square at the play the ball behind the man. So that time he's got St Helens not standing square. And this time I think there was standing square. The referee's penalised him. It took St Helens 3 tackles then for the referee not to find them square, and I think on that occasion there was standing square at the play of the ball, but the referee penalised him. So it's Steve Malloy up to the halfway line, gets the ball away to... So it's Danny Devey there. Good tackling that by Sonny Nittle. So it's Jason Sims, oh, and Sonny Nittle. And Sonny Nittle there went absolutely wild there on Danny Devey.
Go off, yes!
Well, they keep on about framing for the future. With decisions like that, no wonder the crowd don't come to rugby league matches, because it was definitely a case there of Sonny Nickel there getting frustrated there on Rovers there, getting ground advantage, and Sonny Nickel there just lost his cool there in that situation. Danny Devey there trying to fade him off, but he just couldn't get rid of Sonny Nickel, and Sonny Nickel gets 10 minutes in the sin bin, and much to the annoyance of the Featherstone Rovers supporters, Danny Devey also gets 10 minutes in the sin bin. So a chance here for Mark Aston to pull 2 points nearer that St Helens total of 10-4 in front at this moment in time. Here we go, Mark Aston. No mistake by the Rovers scrum half, and that's Mark Aston's 73rd goal of the season. It's Featherstone Rovers 6, St Helens 10. And St Helens tried to get the game underway, but Joan Adioli there thinking quick, getting back, took that quick kick off by Bobby Golding. Now it's Brendan Toolter. Brendan Toolter up to that halfway line, gets the ball there to Graham Sutherland, to Carl Gibson.
Stuck in, Rovers!
So Neil Roebuck being tackled 10 metres inside St Helens half of the field. So it's Mark Aston back inside there to Steve Malloy. Quick play of the ball, Southern with the ball now there to Jason Sims. Jason Sims gets that ball back, but in no man's land. Carl Gibson has to backtrack, picks it up, nothing wrong with that. Has to start again, but on the last tackle. Now what's Mark Aston going to do with this ball? Is it going to be up in the air? It is, the ball's up in the air. Ikram Chase, oh! And the referee there impeding Ikram Butt running for the ball, and St Helens come away with the goods. So it's Andy Haig off his wing, runs it in, 10 minutes in field from the halfway line, St Helens out the field. Number 11 Ian Pickavance up to the halfway line. So it's Jonathan Neal, turns the ball back inside, gives it there to Ian Pickavance. Good defence that though by Joan Adioli. So it's Tommy Martin to Shane Cooper, the men outside here. Gives it to Mark Elia, but that's good defence that by Mark Nixon. So it's Shane Cooper to Tommy Martin. Tommy Martin, drop goal attempts, ball just shading wide. That's good play that by Neil Roebuck, really put Tommy Martin off his kick that time. It's still Rovers 6, Featherstone, St Helens 10.
They must have punched him 8 times there. I say,
Yeah. So it's Ikram Butt. Takes the first tackle. So Graham Sutherwood to Jason Sims. Wanting to unleash the ball there to Brett Rogers, but rightly so, kept hold of it in that situation. Now it's Steve Malloy looking for that halfway line, and Cunningham there makes the perfect tackle. So it's Graham Sutherwood. Oh, and Brendan there trying to pass that ball there along the line. Not in that situation. And he can't afford to make them mistakes in this game of rugby league. Graham Sutherwood there put Brendan Toolter there right in the hot spot that time. Passing that ball, didn't draw any men to him. St Helens moving up quickly. And Toolter there tried to get that ball across with the palm of his hand. So it's Tommy Martin to Steve Prescott. But that's good defence that by Carl Gibson. Play on, no marker. So it's Cunningham to Jonathan Neal. Good defence that by Jason Sims, just inside that Rovers 20-metre area. So Bobby Golding, switch of play. Bobby Golding, but Joe Nadioli watching that moment all the way. Smothered man and ball. Good defence that by Joe Nadioli on that far side. So it's Tommy Martin to Shane Cooper. To Paleli there on this near side. Paleli there to Alan Hunt. And that's good defence that by Darren Hughes. Rovers watching that moment all the time across the line. So it's Mark Healy. Mark Healy to Shane Cooper. Shane Cooper, that little dap kick forward. And that's good play that by Carl Gibson. And Shane Cooper following his own kick up there. Makes the tackle on the Rovers fullback. So it's Darren Hughes. Mark Healy there making the tackle. So it's Ikram Butt up his opposite wing. Ikram Butt, he'll look for that halfway line. That 20-metre line, I should say. Quick play the ball, Sutherwood. Sutherwood there to Neil Roebuck. Neil Roebuck there, that little dummy. But number 10 there, Apollo Pedalini there, making the tackle. So Mark Aston says, let's get out of this mess. Let's get that ball downfield. And Mark Aston does just like that. And what a marvellous kick that by Mark Aston. Absolutely brilliant. He couldn't have pinpointed that kick better. Right on the touchline, so it'll be a 10-metre scrum. It'll be Bobby Golding to feed the scrum for St Helens. Rovers 6, St Helens 10. What a game on his hands at Post Office Road. Just when it seemed that St Helens were going to run away with this game in the first 5 minutes of this game, 2 tries to the good. But Rovers have hung in there, they've clawed their way back. Good try by Carl Gibson, good opportunities to try after that Marcus little kick through. And Rovers are still in there with a chance of this game. All is not lost here at Post Office Road. So it's Alan Hunt. Takes that ball, but Carl Gibson says, come here. But not everybody got a ball away there. But good defence there by Mark Nixon. On Steve Prescott. Now it's Shane Cooper. Shane Cooper there. But good defence by Rovers. So it's Cunningham from Acton half back. That's where he's most dangerous. But a beautiful tackle that by Mark Aston. But quick play of the ball. Shane Cooper to Bobby Golding to Tommy Martin. Tommy Martin to Ian Pickerbans. Back there to Tommy Martin. Tommy Martin to Bobby Golding. Bobby Golding to Shane Cooper. This ball's like a nutcake. Back to Bobby Golding. Bobby Golding there. Looking for runners. To Paleli on this side. Cuts back inside. But that's beautiful. Tackling back by Mark Nixon. Good defence by Rovers. So it's Cunningham on this near side to Mark Healy. Mark Healy, can he score? He has done. Mark Healy twisted his way out of tackles here. Riddles himself over in the corner. Featherstone Rovers 6, St Helens 14. So Bobby Golding. Conversion attempts. Straight between the middle. Turns a try into 6 points. Featherstone Rovers 6, St Helens 16.
Last bloody tackle that and
all. So Mark Aston. So again gets the way underway. And Steve Prescott with the ball there. To inside his own goal area, but good defence that by Steve Malloy. And St Helens substitute on there, Phil Beavers. What a servant he's been for the St Helens club. Been at St Helens 11 seasons, that's Phil Beavers. Came with Mal Meninga in the mid-80s. So it's Ian Pickerbans. Joe Nadioli there, half stopping him. Graham Sutherwood making sure. So it's Shane Cooper. Jason Sims and Neil Roebuck making the tackle. Cunningham there to Tommy Martin. Tommy Martin getting that boat to the ball, but going to the wrong side of the post as far as Tommy Martin and St Helens is concerned. Rolling, touching dead. So it'll be Rovers 20-metre tap. So it's Graham Sutherwood, gives the ball there to Darren Hughes. But Cunningham there makes the tackle. So it's Jason Sims. Gets that ball away there to Mark Nixon. But Alan up there makes the tackle on the Rovers centre. So it's Brendan Tota to Mark Aston, to Joan Adioli. Joan Adioli there, looking for the halfway line. Cunningham rolls him all in the tackle, so it's Mark Aston there, that little kick over. And Bobby Golding comes across, bobbing behind his first line of defence. And that's good tackling that by Steve Malloy. Being a bit too overcocky there, Bobby Golding, and Steve Malloy there says, come to your daddy. And Steve Malloy there grounds him into the dirt. So it's St Helens, Graham Sutherwood there making the tackle on Steve Prescott. So it's Jonathan Neal over the halfway line. Danny Davey, Sonny Nickel back onto the field. Both of them, they've both served 10 minutes in the sin bin. So it's Palele with the ball. 12 metres inside that Rovers half of the field. Cunningham to Shane Cooper to Tommy Martin. Tommy Martin to Ian Pickermans. He's on a roll. Ian Pickermans gives it to Phil Beavers. So it's Bobby Golding, drop goal attempts, straight between the middle for Bobby Golding, another point for St Helens, Rovers 6, St Helens thanks to Bobby Golding, another drop goal, 17. So Mark Aston. Oh, that's a bad mistake there by Andy Haig, I think it is, on that far side. Good kick off that by Mark Aston. So we'll find St Helens drop kicking the ball out from underneath their own sticks. Bobby Golding it is. Here he goes, big drop kick out. And Brendan Tota takes it on the second bounce over the halfway line. He'll run it in. Gets the ball away there to Darren Hughes. Darren Hughes there. That's good. Gunning back Darren Hughes. Good tackling that by Sonny Nickel. So Mark Nixon. So it's Sutherwood to Mark Aston. To Brendan Tota. Back there to Mark Aston. And Ian Pickermans there looked a bit high in that tackle. The referee says play on. Quick play the ball. Sutherwood there to Neil Roebuck. Back there to Sutherwood, to Mark Aston, that little dummy, to Danny Davey. Good defence there by Palele, so it's Sutherwood with the ball there, to Steve Malloy. And St Helens caught offside. So it's Neil Roebuck to Mark Aston there to Carl Gibson. And Phil Beavers there makes the tackle. So it's Brendan Tota there to Joan Adioli on that far side, tackling to short. So it's Mark Aston to Neil Roebuck to Leo Casey. He's on the field, is Leo Casey. I just can't say, I think it's Jason Sims what's gone off. So it's Neil Roebuck to Danny Davey to Icken Butts. And Ian Pickermans there spotting the danger, so it's Sutherwood. That's all on to Mark Aston, to Mark Nixon. And Mark Nixon scores Rovers' second try of the match. His fourth try of the season, his second try of the season I should say. And it's Featherstone Rovers 10, St Helens 17. Well, Rovers really putting pressure on this St Helens defence. And they throw the ball from left to right. Brendan Tota so near yet so far. Joe Nadioli so near yet so far. The ball swung left. And that little kick throw there by Graham Sutherwood ricocheted off a St Helens player's legs. Rovers quick to capitalise on it, throw the ball left, the three men outside, but Mark Nixon says I'm having this one, and he bowled his way over for his second try of the season. So it's Mark Gaston, can he put the extras on? No, it's well wide of the post, It's Rovers 10, St Helens 17. So it's Danny Devey. So it's Sutherwood. Sutherwood now there to Darren Hughes. Darren Hughes looking for that halfway line. Cunningham there half stopping him. Mark Healy making sure. So it's Sutherwood now there to Steve Malloy. Over the halfway line. I must correct myself in the try scoring. I said Mark Nixon's second try of the season. It is in fact his 5th try of the season. Mark Nixon. Apologies to you, Mark, but just getting carried away that little bit. So it's Mark Aston. That big kick up in the air. The ball swirling. And well took that by Steve Prescott. Rovers 10, St Helens 17. So Phil Beavers. So it's Ian Pickavance. So it's Sonny Little on this blind. Sonny Little there. Good defence that. So it's Pilleley. Good defence that by Rovers. So Bobby Golding, he'll cool things down. Big book to ball. Kicked it on that far side, and that's a good kick that by Bobby Golding. Rovers 10, St Helens 17. Just about 2 or 3 minutes left for playing this first half. And Rovers still hanging in there. They're giving as much as they're taking here at Post Office Road. After St Helens went into a quick 10 points to 0 lead, it looked as if St Helens were going to get a bucket for this afternoon. But 4 marks to Rovers. David Watt's team, they've stuck in. They've come back like true Trojans they are. So Mark Aston to feed the scrum. When he can get the ball in the scrum, it's out to Rovers. Brendan Tote. And Shane Cooper there out to the back quick, makes the tackle. So it's Brett Rogers. Tackle just short of his own 20-metre line. Phil Beavers and Sonny Little making the tackle. Now it's Leo Casey. And Cunningham making the tackle, so it's Sutherwood. To Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy there. Just couldn't get that ball there to Joe Nadioli. That's just what Feather Rovers didn't want just before half time. And it's Andy Haig. And this wasn't Featherstone Rovers didn't want. They don't want to concede a try before half time now. It's Ian Pickavance. Not before he got the ball away there to Phil Beavers. To Tommy Martin, spinning that ball wide there to Sonny Little. Sonny Little. And that's a bad mistake by Sonny Little. Referee says play on. Mark Healy gets that ball there. So it's Steve Prescott. Ooh, and that's good defence that by Carl Gibson. So it's Jonathan Neal. Now then, Rovers, you're going to be tested. He's lost the ball. Lost the ball in the tackle. Jonathan Neal there. Looking at the touch judge. No need to look at the touch judge. That was a clear identity there. The Jonathan Neal getting up to play the ball. Lost the ball in the tackle. Well, I must say that Shane Cooper were out of the pack there before the ball had gone in. So, and that's an infringement in this game. So it's Neil Roebuck.
Every rolling book comes.
So it's Leo Casey. Good hard tackle that by Ian Pickavance. Now it's Danny Devey. Looking for that halfway line. Tackled inches short. So it's Sutherwood to Brendan Tote. Brendan Tote gets that ball away there to Roy Sutherwood. To Mark Aston. To Steve Malloy. To Joe Nadioli. To Brett Rogers. Good play by Rovers, trying to spin the ball away out of tackles. So it's Mark Aston. Mark Aston, drop goal attempts. Who can blame him at this time in the game? Seconds ticking away for half time. It's still Rovers 10, St Helens 17. So it'll be Cunningham, taps the ball to Sonny Nicholl. Sonny Nicholl there. Rides one tackle. I think this must be the last tackle now before half time. Jonathan O'Neill gets the ball away there to Cunningham. Oh, Cunningham is on a flyer. But good defence by Rovers. So it's Steve Prescott. And Steve Prescott tackle there. Penalty kick to St Helens. Man the head on there. Man the head on there. So Bobby Gold in there. Yeah. So I must say, Danny Devey coming away with that ball that time, but St Helens player, I must say, gave him the ball. But referee couldn't see that. Lost the ball in the tackle. Rovers, Marcus with the ball to Carl Gibson. Well, that to me, that's justice. And there goes the half-time alternate from Post Office Road. After an absolutely enthralling half where we thought that St Helens were going to race away with this game. 6-0 to the good, then 10-0 to the good. Rovers have clawed the way back. They're still in there. Tries to Steve Prescott, one to Mark Healy, one to Tommy Martin. With two Bobby Golding goals and a drop goal to his name in reply. A Carl Gibson try, a Mark Nixon try, and a Mark Asson goal. It's half-time. Featherstone Rovers 10, St Helens 17. Wait for the second half to come. Welcome back to Post Office Road. Second half of this Stormbridge Championship game. The half-time score being Featherstone Rovers 10, St Helens 17. So Rovers get the game underway. Stevie Prescott there, good defence that by Brendan Toolter. Absolutely brilliant play by Brendan Toolter. Mark Nixon there. Instead of being the initiative on the St Helens side, Rovers have got it. So here we go. Mark has to feed the scrum. Good play that by Brendan Toolter. Mark Nixon, that hard tackle there on Steve Prescott. So it's Carl Gibson. Mark Healy there moving up quickly, making the tackle on the Rovers fullback. So it's Steve Malloy. Driving that ball in. So Sutherwood there, back inside there to Toolter. Toolter going for that try line. He's trying to wriggle his way over. Scores the try! Brendan Toolter, absolutely. Well, he ought to get him on mastermind because Magnuson can't find a contestant who can think that quick like Brendan Toolter can. Because he was up on his feet like a jack in the box. He played the ball forward, no marker, and dived over the try line there. And Brendan Toolter there goes in for his 7th try of the season. It's Rovers 14, St Helens 17. And Mark Aston adding the extras on. Rovers 16, St Helens 17. Now we've got a match on his hands. And St Helens quick to get that game away, but Danny Devey we're waiting for. And Danny Devey, he's on a roll. Penalty kick to Rovers. And Mark Asson puts that ball on that far side. So it's Sutherwood, taps that ball there, gives it to Leo Casey. First drive in. I think number 15 there, Chris Moore's on for St Helens, makes the tackle. Sonny Nicholl off the field, so it's Steve Malloy there. Plays the ball to Sutherwood, to Mark Aston, to Brendan Toolter. Brendan Toolter there, spinning out of tackles. So Danny Devey wanted the ball, gets rid of the ball, the tackle is all on. Neil Robert with the ball, gives it to Steve Malloy. He'll take the tackle with Steve Malloy, trying to get rid of the ball. There's no need for that, playing panic football. Rovers have done everything right at the start of the second half, but that bad mistake there, Steve Malloy wanted to keep the ball alive, but not in that situation, I'm afraid. So it'll be Bobby Golding feeding the scrum for St Helens to Tommy Martin, to Phil Beavers. Phil Beavers taking Carl Gibson on, but Carl Gibson, not very often Carl Gibson misses a tackle in that situation. And Stevie Prescott being rolled over in the tackle. So it's big Jonathan O'Neill and Sutherwood below. Leo Casey on top making the tackle. So it's Ian Pickervance. He's had a good first half, Ian Pickervance. Never stopped running at the big number 11. Oh, that was a forward. Just that delayed pass there by Cunningham there to Mark Elia. If they'd given the ball the first time, it would have been the perfect pass, but he just delayed it that split second. So it'll be Brendan Tota to feed the scrum. The ball's in it. Mark Aston, I should say, to feed the scrum. So it's Carl Gibson. Carl Gibson out to Shane Cooper's tackle. But number 10 there, Apollo Pedalini there, coming across, spoiling the spores for Rovers. So it's Sutherwood there now to Joe Nadioli. He's took his head gear off. Joe Nadioli. He's on a flyer. It's Joe. Joe Nadioli. And Cunningham there. That's good done by Joe Nadioli. So it's Sutherwood to Wickham Butts, to Mark Aston, to Roebuck, to Brendan Tota, to Danny Devey. Back inside there to Brett Rogers. And the crowd's rising to this Rovers team now. And Brendan Tota loses the ball in the tackle. And touch judge right on the spot there. That to me was a booking offence. That's ungentlemanly conduct. Rovers really swinging that ball from right to left that time, and just listen to them Rovers supports on that far side. Rovers really taking this game to St Helens, and if Mark Aston convert this penalty, it'll put Rovers in front for the first time this afternoon, but we're not counting as chickens yet.
What sky match today?
So Mark Aston taking his time, rightly so, and Shane Cooper dancing for all his worth. And the ball misses the post. Drop out for St Helens. That was a chance for Rovers to put themselves in front for the first time this afternoon. Led off for St Helens, so Bobby Golding there. So Carl Gibson. So it's Sutherwood to Danny Devey on that far side. Danny Devey there, looking to unload the ball in the tackle, but tackle held up on the halfway line. So it's Mark Aston. Mark Aston there to Leo Casey, and Shane Cooper there makes the tackle on the big Rovers forward. That's 10 metres inside that St Helens half of the field. So it's Sutherwood to Mark Aston, to Brendan Tota, to Mark Nixon. Mark Nixon there. But Tommy Martin there again getting to grips there with Mark Nixon. So Brendan Tota on this blind side. Gives the ball there to Mark Aston. Mark Aston there pumps that ball downfield. And Andy Egg there takes that ball, and Brendan Tota. What a tackle that by Brendan Tota. Oh, he nearly cut him in two. That's good defence that by Mark Aston. Now it's Phil Beavers to Ian Pickervance. Ian Pickervance and big Joe Nadio. Oh, he's lost the ball in the tackle.
Can't argue with that. It was some interference.
And referee penalising Rovers there, spilling the ball out of Ian Pickervance's hands. Referee right on the spot, so Cunningham gets the game started. Gives it to number 8 there, Jonathan Neal. But once again, Joe Nadioli makes the tackle, stands his ground. What a game he's had this afternoon. So it's Palele there, Leo Casey. That's good copy, but tackling by the Rovers 15, Leo Casey. Right round the boat laces. So 15 there, Chris Morley takes the game to Rovers. It's on a knife edge. It's Rovers 16, St Helens 17. Mark Elia there going for them posts.
But Big Joe in the way there, Joe Nadioli. So it's Bobby Goulding to Shane Cooper. That little kick through and it's all on. Carl Gibson there takes that awkward bouncing ball. Shane Cooper there looking for the penalty. But not that time, Shane. Referee right on the spot. So it's Ikram Butts. Oh, he turned round on a 5-pence piece. Ikram Butts. He's coming downfield. He will straighten up. So it's Sutherwood. Talio Casey looking for that halfway line. What a game here at Post Office Road. First it's right, then it's left. And we're going right. Steve Malloy up to the halfway line. Rid of the ball in the tackle there to Sutherwood. Oh, and Sutherwood there got some knees in the ribs that time. So it's Roebuck to Mark Aston. Mark Aston once again pumping that ball through. Goes into touch on that St Helens 10-metre line. It's a scrum down. It'll be Bobby Goulding yet again to feed the scrum. It's Rovers 16, St Helens 17. All to play for in this match at Post Office Road.
You see him arguing with ref all the time in that 8. Nice,
So Goulding there facing, pulling the ball in. And Goulding there went straight through the loose forward's feet. That was unbelievable. Andy Haig there takes the tackle off Neil Roebuck. Well, this must be a first in this game of Rugby League. I don't think we've had an offside yet in this game. But have I spoke too soon? I hope not. Referees kept the game flowing. Both teams have kept the game flowing. It's been nick and tuck from the first whistle goal. So it's Mark Elia. Oh, good defence that.
Get back to Rovers!
Sutherwood there sticking to his man like glue. So it's Pickervance trying to spring back in the tackle. Roebuck making the tackle. So it's Bobby Goulding. Bit of room to work now, Bobby. That looked like a forward pass to Stevie Prescott. And didn't they make that look all so easy, Shane Cooper? But I must say that pass from Bobby Goulding to Stevie Prescott looked marginally forward. With arm in the gantry and the referee missed that one. But Shane Cooper there backing up like he normally does. Scores the St Helens 4th try of the afternoon. It's Featherstone Rovers 16, St Helens 21. And Bobby Goulding just adding the extras on, his 3rd goal of the afternoon, plus a drop goal to his name. Rovers 16, St Helens 23. So Mark Aston it is. Gets the game underway. And that's a knock. Is it a knock on? Alan Hunt there. Didn't know whether he'd knocked on or he stopped the ball with his knees, but when the ball dropped to the floor, did he get his fingertips to the ball? The referee says not. Play on. So St Helens with the ball. Have they withstood the Featherstone Rovers slaughter what they threw at them in the first 5 or 6 minutes of the second half? They've come back strongly. Trying a goal to either to both sides in the second half. And we're on the last tackle. Bobby Goulding, drop goal attempts. All the time in the world. The ball going well wide. Score remains Featherstone Rovers 16, St Helens 23. So it'll be a tap for Rovers on their own 20-metre line. Leo Casey takes the first tackle. Cunningham there making the tackle. So it's Danny Devey looking for the halfway line. Big drive in, Morley there making the tackle. So it's Steve Malloy there. Just inside that St Helens half of the field. So it's Sutherwood to Mark Aston. Mark Aston there, throw the gap. And Shane Cooper there gets rid of the ball. And Featherstone Rovers Trying to get this ball. Oh, and that's a knock on. That's back to one. That's back to one. Phil Beavers knocking that ball down with his hand. So it's Ikram Butt now from acting half-back. Ikram Butt tackled on this near side here. Ian Pickervance making the tackle, so it's Brett Rogers to Joe Nadioli. But 14 there, Phil Beavers. We want to get out of this hole if we can. Southern with the ball now there to Brendan Toter to Mark Aston. Mark Aston back inside there to Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy's on the charge. Steve Malloy gets that ball there for Brendan Toter. Brendan Toter cutting back inside. So it's Sutherwood to Mark Aston. Mark Aston, Joe Nadioli to Brett Rogers. Brett Rogers, plenty of room on this side, but he saw a bit more than me. So it's Mark Aston! Stop me if you can, says Mark Aston. And nobody could. Because he goes in for his 5th try of the season. And Rovers are right back in it. Writers off if you dare. Rovers 20, St Helens 23. Well, I bet Mark Aston will like me last night. I bet he watching Superman, because Superman couldn't have died any better than what Mark Aston did there to plant Feathers Rovers. 4th try of the afternoon. So can he convert his own try? Here we go. Yes, he does. Straight between the middle. Rovers 22. St Helens 23. And the man of the moment there, Mark Aston, taking that kick off from Bobby Golding, gives it to Danny Devey. Strong run that by Danny Devey. So it's Joe Nadioli. What a game Joe Nadioli's had this afternoon. So it's Steve Malloy. Steve Malloy, look at that. Well, and that's good defence that by Phil Beavers. So it's Sutherwood. Rovers keeping this ball to Leo Casey. Leo Casey up to that St Helens 20-metre line, and the crowd's roaring. These Rovers on this afternoon. Mark Aston with the ball. Back inside to Mark Nixon. Mark Nixon. So it's Neil Roebuck to Joe Nadioli. That's the last tackle. Rovers just losing the way in that last tackle there. So it's Andy Haig, and what a tackle that by Steve Malloy. So it's Jonathan Neal. What a tackle by Leo Casey. Round the thighs, round the bootlaces, that's the way to tackle him. So it's Mark Healy and Graham Sutherwood and Brett Rogers there getting to grips with Mark Healy on this near side. So it's Kieran Cunningham to Tommy Martin. Tommy Martin trying to get that ball out wide there to number 15, Chris Morley, but Chris Morley tackled just about on the halfway line. Oh, and that's a knock on. Referee says that ball, and that's a knock on. Well, to me there were 2 knock-ons in that moment, and Bobby Golding there. And Ikram. Well, you can count yourself lucky St Helens in this match if that decision there just going again for, because twice in that St Helens build up on the 4th and 5th tackle, St Helens clearly knocked the ball on. Golding kicked the ball towards Ikram Butt tapped the ball with his foot. I think he just get his fingertips to the ball, referee awarding Rovers knocking on. So just when it could have been Rovers 6 tackles, St Helens find themselves lucky they've got 6 tackles inside that Rovers 20-metre area. Steve Prescott there, stood up in the tackle. So it's Mark Healy going for that Featherstone Rovers try line. Rovers have got to stop it, St Slot. They've come back from the dead 3 times in this match. They don't want another St Helens try now in this game. Oh, it's Neil Roebuck. Neil Roebuck. Well, referee letting St Helens put the feed in. Looked to me like Neil Roebuck tried to get that ball off, a St Helens mistake. I thought myself that St Helens had knocked the ball on first, but referee says not. So it's Alan Hunt to Shane Cooper. And Morley it is to Bobby Golding, switch of play. Back there to Mark Healy. Mark Healy, that's crossing, that's a penalty kick to Rovers. And that's no more than justice. So Mark Casson getting game restarted, tapping that ball to himself. Rightly so, why not? Get the game flowing. So it's Ikram, but got to straighten up. Ikram gets the ball away there to Brett Rogers. Brett Rogers is darting down the middle. What a run by Brett Rogers. That's all on. So it's Sutherwood to Mark Aston. Long ball out there to Brendan Toole to cut him back inside. Just about on that St Helens 20-metre line. So it's Roebuck to Mark Aston to Steve Malloy. He'll take the tackle towards them postmen on the last tackle. It's a drop goal on the cards. Sutherwood there, that little kick through, and that's miles to add. What the hell's up with the drop goal attempt here? Rovers 22, St Helens 23. Rovers bang in the middle of the post. The situation was great. The crowd were waiting for it. Everybody waiting for a one-pointer to put Rovers level. But Rovers took the ball right. And Graham Sutherwood there just put too much feather behind the ball. As it is, St Helens once again get out of jail. They're in charge of the ball. Alan Hunt, he can't pass the ball to nobody. Nobody to run to. He's got to take the tackle there off Brett Rogers. So it's Cunningham to Tommy Martin to Shane Cooper to Paley. St Helens just passing the ball, nobody running. And Mark Healy tackled on that far side. So it's Steve Prescott from acting half-back. Reverse pass from Jonathan O'Neill to Steve Prescott. To Ian Pickavance. Ian Pickavance down the middle. Used to play in the centres, Ian Pickavance. I think he's got to knock in that tackle. Rovers 22, St Helens 23. The difference being that Bobby Golding drop goal in the first half. And Ian Pickavance looks as if he's twisted his knee or his ankle in that tackle, and this we don't like to see in this game of rugby league. And Ian Pickavance going off, and number 4 Andy Northey takes his place back on the side. So Tommy Martin will play the ball for St Helens. Cunningham to Bobby Golding. Charge down. Oh, and that ball could have...
Give it back to one there for a charge down.
Well, the referee unbelievably gave that back to 1 when Bobby Golding had that drop kick at goal. He gave it back to 1, and that proves he gave it back to 1, else that would have been the changeover. But to me, a charge down isn't to... So it's Darren Hughes looking for that halfway line. So it's Rovers now, Leo Casey to Carl Gibson. Carl Gibson coming down the middle. Good play by the Rovers fullback. Shane Cooper holding the man down, play on, so it's Leo Casey, 10 metres inside St Helens half of the field. So it's Sutherwood to Mark Aston, to Brendan Toulter. Brendan Toulter to Brett Rogers there. This is a flyer, this. Now he's going for the corner. Matt Nixon absolutely flying for the corner that time. Good play by Rovers. Last desperate tackle in by St Helens that time. One's just got that feeling this game, if Rovers could just get in front. They've been behind all in this match. So Neil Roebuck there making the tackle on the big number 10, Apollo Perlini. We're still inside, that's Jonathan Neal once again. Look at them tacklers there, and St Helens on the own 20-metre line. And Cunningham it is. Cunningham has been quiet all afternoon. He's got the pace to go the length of the field. But Graham Sutherwood not saying, not before he gets by me. So it's Vevers. Vevers spinning round. And we're on the last tackle. Cunningham from acting half-back. Gives the ball there to Tommy Martin. And Tommy Martin, the ball will have to come back. St Helens panicked football in that situation that time. But it's told me what Rovers are hustling and nassling them into doing. Rovers 22, St Helens 23. Set a 6 for Rovers. John Arioli up to the halfway line. So it's Sutherwood to Brendan Toulter on the short side. But good defence that by Andy Northey. So it's Brett Rogers. Brett Rogers there. Runs direct to Jonathan Neal, the biggest man on the field, but he stood his ground in Brett Rogers. So it's Mark Aston to Neil Roebuck. Back there to Mark Aston to Danny Deavey! Danny Deavey! Oh, Danny! Oh, Danny boy! Danny Deavey! Straight through the gap! Oh, Danny boy! 7th try of the season to Big Danny. It's Rovers 26. St Helens 23. And somebody's just said to me, having a pint after a match, John, I'll have to do to get my breath back, to get my voice back. Unbelievable scenes here. And Mark Aston, well, I must say it on that windy side over there. Rovers 26, St Helens 23. Now we're going. Still 23 minutes left for play in this match. Still 15 minutes left for play. And it's Darren Hughes off his wing. And Rovers have really come back. Joel Arioli! Joel Arioli! What a game he's had! And it's Sutherwood to Steve Malloy. Now listen to this crowd. Just listen to these supporters here at Post Office Road. Sutherwood to Brendan Toulter. Brendan Toulter. And Tommy Martin stops his opposite number. So it's Ikram to Mark Aston, the ball swirling round. Who's going for it? St Helens possession. But I must say that St Helens, it's one man rugby now, nobody with them. Rovers 26, St Helens 23. And that's a knock on. And that's a knock on by Andy Northey. Well, it's seasons since I've seen this crowd on his field like a poster. The scenes here are absolutely, you've got to see him to believe him. The crowd's really on the toes. Mark hasn't to feed the scrum. The ball's in, it's out to Rovers. Brendan Toulter. And Shane Cooper there makes the tackle. Switch of play, Mark Aston to Danny Deavey. Danny Deavey outside, it's all on Mark Aston. Oh, Mark Aston. Danny Devey flicked that ball out to the back passes there. And Mark Hassan had to kick the ball on. The St Helens man got to the ball, but nobody, just listen to the crowd. I can't hear myself talking, never mind think up here on the gallery. And Darren Hughes is only one way, he knows how to run, does Dazzy. He'll straighten up, he'll go straight forward. Leo Casey, what a run. I know it was. And back to Darren Hughes, he's having another go, it's Darren. Darren's having another go, Darren Hughes. Oh, what a run by the Rovers wingman. So strong. Steve Malloy. Quick play the ball, Sutherwood. Roebuck. Mark Aston, it's all on to Ikram, but Ikram. Sutherwood. To Roebuck. 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 Real Roebuck. And at the post. Second try of the season for Neil Roebuck. Graham Sutherwood absolutely got the St Helens defence mesmerised. Give the ball to Neil Roebuck, and Neil Roebuck says, while you're under the influence, I'll just score, and that's what he did. Rovers 30, St Helens 23, with his conversion attempt to come from Mark Aston. Here he goes, strikes the ball as clear as a whistle, straight through the middle of the post. Rovers 32, St Helens 23. So it's Danny Devey. I ain't got time to write the scorers down before St Helens had kicked off. And so it's Leo Casey. Leo Casey. But Rovers have got to thank Darren Hughes for that try. He had two big drives in that movement. Brought the chance up. So it's Steve Malloy. No panic football. Rovers 9 points to the good, and this man knows no more about no panic football, Mark Aston. That ball there just going the wrong side of the whitewash as far as Feathers Rovers are concerned. So St Helens get the game started. So it's Alan Hunt. Good defence that by Leo Casey on the St Helens wingman. And once again Neil Roebuck, and that's a penalty kick. Bobby Golding quick to take the penalty. So it's Cunningham, that quick tap. Number 10 there, Apollo Pedalini. Rovers don't want to concede a try now. 32-23 to the good Rovers. 6 tries to 4. What a game. So Phil Beavers. Oh, he's inches short to that try line. So it's Bobby Golding, and I just can't get my voice here. We've had that much action here at Post Office Road. St Helens throwing everything they can at this Rovers defence. Phil Beavers to Shane Cooper to Andy Northey. Tackling by Rovers. Plays the ball to himself. Penalty kick to Rovers. Mark Castle marking Andy Northey that time. So Gibson wiping the ball for Mark Casson. To me there was nothing to wipe. And Mark Casson there put a bit aside on the ball, telling his players not to panic. And James Sutherland saying, well, the scenes here at Post Office Road are absolutely unbelievable. So Steve Malloy once again takes the drive in. Sutherland to Mark Aston, that little dummy. Gives it to Mark Steve Malloy. Gives it to Brett Rogers. That little dummy. Sutherland to Roebuck. To Danny Devey, trying to straighten up. Just couldn't get the pass out there to Neil Roebuck. So it's Sutherland to Neil Roebuck. Neil Roebuck there to Leo Casey. So near yet so far, so it's Sutherland to Brendan Toolter. Back to Sutherland. Back to Mark Aston. To Wickram Butts. To Danny Devey.